Hello Internet, and today I'm going to be showing you how to model and texture a stormtrooper that is a CubeCraft character that you can find off the internet. And here's what it'll look like when you get done. So, to get started, File, New, Reload Startup File. I will go to the tab over here, turn on shading, GLSL, and then I will bring this to cycles render. And now to start modeling the character. The stomach is a scale of 1 on the X, Y 0.5, and Z 1.5. So now here I have the stomach of my character. And now I will turn on snapping and go to, I believe it's face, Shift D on the Z axis, and snap. No, it's not faces, it's edge. Let's try that. Yes, edge. There we go. And for the head, the scale will be 1, 1, and 1. I need to readjust this, but that's fine. There we go. And then for the arms, Shift D on the X, and the scale will be 0.5, 0.5, and 1.5. So that there's right. And then Shift D on the X, and we'll snap it too. And then Shift D on the Z. And the location for this, I think it's 0.5. And then bring it up. And then Shift D on the X. And snap it to it. And there you go. You have the model for our character. Now, I will bring this up, go to UV image editor, image, open image, find your texture. I chose a Stormtrooper Cube Craft texture. There we go. And now, go ahead and turn off snapping. Select all your body parts and hit Control J to form them into one object. Got to turn this on. There we go. Control J to form them all into one body part. And then Tab U, reset, and then I go to UVs, mark seams, and then UVs, snap, selected to pixels. So now I can start to texture this, almost. First I have to turn on texture, and then go to U, no, not U. Go to node editor, there we go. Use nodes, scroll in, and then go to add, texture, image texture, drag it over, connect, yellow to yellow, go over here and choose your texture. And there you see we have our character, but he does not have all the faces lined up. We have to do that manually. So go down here, turn on faces, go back to UV image editor, and right click on the stomach. Now we bring this up so that we can still see our stomach, but so that we can also see our texture pretty well. And we see on our UV image editor, we hit S, size it down to say 0.5, no, we'll change it to 0.1, 0.2, there we go, 0.2. Then grab it to where we need it, scroll in, and line up the corner of the stomach, the corner on the screen with the corner of our texture. And I see up here that our texture needs to be rotated, so we'll rotate it 90 degrees. And it looks like that did the trick. So grab it, line up a corner again, and then start adjusting it. So right click on, shift right click on that one, right click on that one, and grab on the X, bring it in, and line it up perfectly. This is where it really is important. So line this up, grab on the Y, so that it's exactly lined up. If you need to, go ahead and zoom in so you can see what you're doing. Because as you see up here, we got our stomach done on our character. Now we'll go ahead and do the back. So size 0.2, rotate 90, grab to the back, zoom in so we can see what we're doing here. Line up our edge. Oops. There we go. And then right click on this one, shift right click on this one, grab on the X, then right click on this one, shift right click on this one, grab on the Y, and line it up just about perfectly. And oh, this one's still upside down. So A, rotate 180. There we go, that's right. This is right. Oh, that one's right. Okay, that was weird. And now, go on to our next phase. So, we'll start with the head. Right click on your face, S.2, zoom in so you can see what we're doing, then grab and line up a corner. I see that this is sideways, so rotate 90, right? Right. 270, there we go. Grab and line up a corner. And right click, shift right click, grab on the X, then right click, shift right click, grab on the Y. That looks pretty good. So now we'll do the back of the head. Size 2. Choose the grab. And we see that it's sideways, so we rotate 90. Did that get us what we wanted? Yes, that did. Okay, so zoom in here, line up a corner, and right click, shift right click, grab and move X. Oh, I didn't get it lined up perfectly. There we go. And this is the longest part of the video right here, is just texturing your character. But once we get done, it'll look really good. So now we'll go to the right side. When you do the right and left side, you have to make sure that you get the correct sides on when you texture it. So for the right side, it actually looks like the left, but that's the correct side. And then I see that it's sideways, rotate it. That wasn't good, rotate it again. Oh. There we go, I think that's right. Yep, that's right. So, line up a corner. And then right click, grab on the X, line it up, right click, grab on the Y, and there we go. I have most of the head done. So there's point 2, grab it, see that it's sideways, rotate 270, I think it is. Yep, there we go. And then line up a corner. And then continue the process of texturing. And when you get done with this character, since we turned on GLSL under the shading, we can use it in a game or we can leave it in cycles. So that is up to you what you want to do with it, but I don't think it'll work in Blender Render this way. So there's point 1. Now, a little trick of the trade here. Pieces that are all one pure color, you don't need to line up. See how it's all white right here? It's all white right there. Didn't line it up. Still looks good. So stuff like that, you don't need to line up perfectly. Like the tops of his shoulders, size 0.1, grab, leave it in the center, somewhere there. Size 0.1, grab, and leave right there. See? Still looks good, just no need to waste your time lining it up perfectly. You can spend your time working on the arms. These are slightly more difficult, but size 0.1 I think should do it. The arms for my character are up here in the corner. So let's see, my face might rotate it to 70. There we go. We'll line up the corners. Grab it on the X. And grab it on the Y. And there we go. We have the front of the arm. Now, I know this probably isn't correct, but I think my character looks best if all three sides of his arms are the same. So that's how I'm going to do it. But if you have the character If you want to change differently, that is fine. Go ahead and adjust it as needed for your purposes. You can do this with pretty much any character. Minecraft Steve, any Cube eCraft character on the internet that you can find and download as a texture. Now this part right here, if you're doing the Stormtrooper, make sure these black bands line up, because if they don't, that'll show very badly. Okay, we're almost done with this arm here. Oh, mine's upside down. So, select the whole thing, rotate 180. There we go, see? Black bands line up. Black band lines up. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now for the other arm. Rotate 270. That's bring it up. Looks like it's alright, okay. Line up my corner. Drag it on the X. And drag it on the Y. So that is point 1. We'll rotate to 70. Bring it up. Okay, so line up my corner. Right click, shift right click, grab it on X. And grab it on Y. That looks pretty good, so go on to the background. Size 0.1, rotate to 70, and round up. And we're almost done, except for the legs and the insides of the legs and arms, which are a bit trickier to do, but I, again, know some shortcuts that will help you out. Oh, upside down again. So select it all, rotate 180. There we go, that looks pretty good. So now for the legs. Now this is slightly different, but size 0.1, and then grab, line up the corner, grab on the X, and then grab on the Y. And it looks like I have it upside down, so AA, rotate 90, and it's still not right, so rotate 90, alright, rotate 90, there we go, that looks pretty good. So we'll do that with the next one, size 0.1, rotate to 70, and line up the corner. Yep, there we go. And then right click, grab on the X, grab on the Y, And it looks like I had it wrong again, so rotate 90. Oops. Make sure you select the whole thing. It doesn't rotate. Rotate 90. Rotate 90. There we go. It's upside down. Backspace 180. Oh, 270. There we go. Now the backs of the legs will do exactly the same, because that's how I think it looks best. Size 0.1. Grab it. And upper corner. Grab on the X. And then right click, shift, right click, grab on the Y. And it looks like we got it right the first time. That's good. Size 0.1. Bring it over. And upper corner. And while you're watching this, if you wanted to, you could skip ahead. If you're a slightly more advanced user of Blender, go ahead and skip ahead to the part where I show you how to do the insides of legs and arms. Looks pretty good. Okay, outside the legs. This one again is slightly different. This one's going to be size 0.1, slightly different. But what we're going to do is we're going to make it the size of this, but this isn't going to be our texture. Grab on that. I'm just using this as a reference for the size so that we can get a nice looking texture. I'll show you in just a second. Okay, now that I have that on a grab it on the Y, and bring it up here. It looks like I have it sideways, so rotate 90. There we go. And we'll do that with the other side. Size 0.1. Bring it over here. And up the corners. Okay, so we're almost to the part where I can show you how to do the inside. And that is where it gets slightly more difficult. And if you want to animate and rig it, you may want to change these later on the insides. But for a standalone image, it looks pretty good, I think. And then rotate 90. I think that's right. Yep. Okay, so we have all but the inside done. Now go ahead and zoom out. Now this part you don't need to see up there, so go ahead and drag this so you can see it bigger. And go ahead and click on this button. It makes it so you can see all your UVs at the same time. And just right click where you see this black dot, size 0.1, and then grab and bring it up to the white. On the insides and arms and legs, it's going to be white. Size 0.1. And there's quite a few of these, because like under the head and the bottoms of the feet and under the body. And whatever you do, do not remove doubles. That is a big one with this, because if you remove doubles, any faces that are touching each other will be merged into one, and it will ruin it if you try to rig it or animate it. So do not remove doubles. If anything, that's what you should not do. And just keep doing this right here until all of the faces have been used, or all these UVs, I should say, not faces. There's quite a few, like I said, so it might take you a few minutes. you want, you can go ahead and skip to the end instead of watch me repeat the process over and over. And we're almost there. Not quite. Just 2 more, I think. We're getting there. We're getting there. It's a time-consuming process, and this is just a basic look. Okay, there we go. I got them all. So go ahead and bring this down. Go back into object mode. View your camera. And now we will right-click our camera. Bring out our focal point to say about 25. And then bring it down and on the z-axis right here. So it's like 5. That looks pretty good. Then go to render results, and that will look good for now, so we can go ahead and render our image. And there you go. We have our Stormtrooper CubeCraft character all modeled. This is part 1 of my tutorial series. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below.